Después de Atenas, tenía un vuelo a Catania, donde pretendía entrevistarme con alguna ONG de la zona. Sin embargo, por problemas de disponibilidad, no pudo ser, con lo cual continué mi camino hacia Alemania. Después de atravesar Italia y Suiza, llegué a Berlín. Allí me entrevisté con Mimi. Me contó cómo desde un lugar tan lejano a las fronteras de la Unión Europea intentan ayudar a los migrantes atrapados en ellas.
My name is Mimi. It's actually Miriam Kamas, but Mimi. And the organization I work for, the name is Wir Packen's An. So we are focused on first aid, and non-food items, which means we are collecting clothes and sleeping bags and tents and also hygiene items. So very like the basic necessary things for life. We collect them as donations. We sort them, so to check that everything is good quality. We pack them and then we ship them to different places where refugees and people on the run have to be. So mainly Greece and Greek islands, but also mainland, and also Bosnia is one of our focus place. But we also ship to other places. We are quite young. We're not even 2 years old, so we are still a young NGO. But with the money we received last year, we were also able to make projects. So we have two ways. We make one of the trucks sending all the items, and the other thing is that we started to have different projects, and we are able to give money into that projects. For example, a project we did this summer in Greece and Lesbos was with another NGO. They are clowns, psychological trained clowns who came and did shows with the children. So it was a psychological supportive project for children. We did that as well. So in this direction, we work as well. No, our whole work is based on fundings, and most of us are working just as volunteers. So we don't get money for that work. We don't get salary. We just do it as voluntary, and we have only 4 people who have that as part-time job in the whole organization. And everything is private donations from people. We are asking for it, and a lot of the materials we're using are also donations, so we don't have to buy them, we get them. Where we are focused is the EU borders. That's why we are working mostly in Bosnia with different organizations, and also in Greece. And the problem is that once migrants are there, usually they have a right to ask for asylum. Wherever you put your foot on, you have the right to ask for asylum. But what's happening with the EU is they're trying to push back people, and they're pushbacking them illegal. We see that a lot of time on the border between Bosnia and Croatia, but it also happened inside the borders already in Greece. We have there's proof that the Greece police, the Greece government also pushbacking people illegal from island. For example, the boats are already on the shore and they're pulling them back. So this is what's happening. In Germany, it's different, because once people arrive to Germany, they are already in the UA. So they mostly made already quite a long trip. But if they ask here for asylum, it doesn't need to be given. So we do have the problem of they don't call pushbacks, but the people just get restricted, and then they have to go back to their countries where they came from. And Germany labeled, for example, Syria and Afghanistan as safe countries, which are obviously not safe. And especially now it changed, but this happened before. So they're not camps like on Lesbos or Bosnia or something like this, but it's places where people who are asylum seekers live. So asylum camps. And I don't have exact numbers or something about it, but surely they always been this asylum place, and it's quite hard for people to get out of the system because, you know, they don't have much money. They are not allowed to work. If you have this asylum status, you cannot do what a person like me and you can do. For example, you know, everything is restricted, so it's very tough to get out of this. But it's very important for everybody, of course, to live a normal life and to create the life you want to live, and to find work, to find a job, to go to school and everything. But due to camp situation, people are forced to always stay in this kind of bubble. I don't want to say anything wrong because this is not my focus. I don't know so much about it. But if you talk about German camps, it was much worse when the huge migration wave, so-called wave, happened, because there we really had places where like 200 people living in one big sports area, such stuff. If we talk about the normal asylum camps, it's usually you have little apartments and each family has an apartment. Sometimes they share kitchen, it depends. It's not good, obviously. It's not a place I think anybody wants to grow up and wants to live. But if you compare that with camps like Moria, with refugee camps, or with the situation at the Bosnian-Croatian border, then of course it's a huge difference. And I think for people it's a safer space, let's say, but it's not the place anybody should live in. If people are if they don't get asylum, usually if you're an asylum seeker, you always have to renew it, right? So you need to have an official permission, and if you don't have that permission or you don't get the permission, you're always in danger that you can get this paper that you have to leave the country. And that happened to even people who lived here for 12 or 15 years, like children who grew up here, who speak the language, who never been in the home country, right? And still out of a sudden, it's like, no, this place is safe and you have to leave. And that happens overnight. So sometimes it really happens that police just come, knock on the door and be like, you have 2 hours, pack your stuff and go. Or they even cut the kids from school. This all happen as well. But these are people who are mostly, like, who's been here already for quite some years. So this is not the work we are focusing on, but I also knew the stories happening. And you have to imagine, I mean, you live your life, you raise your kids, the kids go to school, everything is like normal life. And all of a sudden, you have to move back to Kosovo or God knows where. And you have to start completely new again. I had a friend who was an intern at the school where I worked. And he lived for many years already in Germany. And then he messaged me. He said, we had to leave yesterday the country. Can you please say that I'm not coming back to school? Because it was too hard for him to even tell. And it just happened overnight. I mean, last week he worked with us and the next week he was gone. So this is happening. And this is happening with the support of the authorities. Police catch the people. They go to jail. We call it Abschiebehaft. So this is, Abschiebe means this, I have to translate the correct term, but Abschiebe means you get like pushed back, and until they take you into the plane or bus, people have to be in jail, even families. So this is happening. Now, when you look what our NGO is doing, it's the people who are now asylum seeker who are trying to enter the EU. So I don't know the numbers of them because it takes time to even reach Germany. So this can only happen if you're already in Germany, that the German authorities put you back. But for that, you need to be here. You need to ask for asylum already. You have to be in that process. So it takes quite some time. Usually, I think if you ask for asylum in Germany, or you lived here on asylum for some years and then they say, no, it's done, then usually they move you back to your original country. And for that, you have this labeling the countries as safe places. And that happened just before all the drama now happened in Afghanistan with the Taliban taking back the country. We had these situations that even German government labeled Afghanistan as a safe place, and people can be pushed back there, which is ridiculous. And everybody, like human normal sense, common sense is like, no, it's of course not a safe space. And there's a reason why people had to flee. But this is what happened in the past in Germany as well. I mean, I can try to say it because I didn't have to experience myself. I'm very privileged to born here and have a nationality which keeps me safe from so far. Like until now, I'm luckily never had to experience that. But I can only try to imagine. I mean, nobody flees, nobody choose to become a refugee. Nobody does that. So this is already such a horrific experience people have to go through. And then they are not accepted. They're always on the run. They face so many difficulties. And even if they arrive, like even if they are lucky and they arrive at some place and can start to create their own life and rebuild their life. I mean, you have to imagine they are in a completely different state, completely different culture. They have to learn the language. Everything is different. And the society also here is not it's not treating them in a proper way. I mean, we do have a lot of racism in Germany. We have a giant push to the right and racist movement, unfortunately. We have political parties who are extremely and openly racist and against all kind of migration and refugees. So being a refugee never ends, and being on the run never ends, even if you find a safe space. I mean, this trauma people have to live with and have to overcome. I don't know if I would be able to do that. So I have the highest respect for everyone who does that. And they impress me so much. And I met so amazing people who are still so kind and so warm-hearted, even though they go through such a terrible experience. And there are so many levels on that. You have the whole problem why you have to flee. Then you have the whole journey. You don't know what's happening there. Then you have to live in a camp. I mean, these are all not safe spaces, not at all. And to overcome this, and then recreate a life, it's extremely impressive. And we should welcome everybody really with open arms and be extremely proud and impressed by them and learn from it. And what I really hate is the way how we have two classes, like the people who don't, like privileged people and less privileged people, and we put numbers on it. These are human beings, yeah, and nobody is born without any talents or whatever. You know, everybody comes with talents, comes with different kind of resources, like inside resources, and we're not giving anybody a chance to use that. You know, we are wasting human capital, as we can say that, in the most ignorant way. I wish. So the problem, I think, is, yeah, Germany has this, especially because of 2050, when we opened the borders and Germany accepted many people, which was a good thing, of course. They kind of established this picture of being the great ones. But European Union, Germany is part of it, and the European Union have extremely a terrible way of treating migrants, and Germany is part of this. And it's not that they saying anything to them. No, it's a whole system working with each other, and Germany is supporting willingly all these illegal pushbacks. They're happening on everyone's watch and call. I mean, this is nothing Croatia is doing by itself. I mean, Frontex is a European Union border police or agency. So they are supported and funded by Germany as well. And why does we have these agreements with Turkey, for example? It's all just a way to keep people away. And Germany can be the nice guy because we don't have this, we are quite central, we are in the middle. So we don't have the borders, the European borders on our side. Otherwise, it would be the same. I mean, I'm very sure like the treatment would be absolutely the same, and we're not treating people in the right way. Human rights violation happening every day, and it doesn't matter if it's the Croatian police who is pushbacking them, because the backup is here as well. So it's, you know, it's just one big system, and maybe Germany is more in the decision-making part, but they're not doing it better, not at all. And with the power that, and the kind of the power that Germany have, it would be the responsibility to act differently, but they're not doing it, not at all. And even, I mean, there are only two political parties who speak up and who are fighting for the civil rescue in the Mediterranean. Just two of them. And the ones in power, they're not saying anything. So the responsibility and the death of people drowning in the Mediterranean Sea, or the pushbacks and the brutal treatment which are happening in the Croatian-Bosnian border, it's all on our watch as same. And we cannot clean our hands here because we are not doing it actively, because we are doing it passively. And if you know that something illegal and something is happening, something bad is happening, you know it, but you're not doing anything against it, you're just as bad as the person who is doing it. There's no difference. There are so many stories and so many aspects I would love to tell, but for me the most important point to really make it clear again that these are human beings. They are not different than you and me. We are just lucky and privileged to be born in a different way with different rights. This can shift any time. I mean, just because I live today in a stable state, it doesn't mean that this is still continue for the next 30 years. And I would really like that people keep in their mind that history is happening daily, and it's in our own hands how we create the future for everybody, and everyone has a responsibility. It's not they are doing this or that. No, we all have a responsibility because we live in a globalized world. So how I live my life has an impact on somebody else's life, even if I never saw that person. If I buy very cheap my mobile phone and my clothes, that's only possible because people somewhere else don't get paid properly, don't get treated properly. This all is a whole system, and it's connected. We are all connected. And if we want to live in a good world, which I hope everybody wants, it's in our hand, but we have to take responsibility. And my luck and my privilege, they come with a responsibility for less privileged people. If I'm lucky that I have a voice which I can use, I mean, I can sit here and I can say my whole opinion, I can talk whatever I want without any consequences, or mostly without consequences. This is a huge privilege, and I have to use it for less privileged people, because so many people, they can't say that. And this is what I really urge people to see. We have a responsibility, and it's up on us, everybody. We are not separated. These are not different people. This is not a different race. This is one race. This is human race. And these people are facing so many terrible things. You don't leave your house. You don't leave your home. You don't leave your home country for no reason. We should be understanding. We need empathy. We should be understanding. And we should also see the big potential that comes. I mean, migration always been there. People always moved on this planet. This is nothing new. And I don't understand why people all of a sudden think that the borders we have nowadays, they have to be like this forever. Borders always changed. Countries always changed. People always moved. It's nothing bad itself. It's bad how we react on it. And I saw this quote, and I can maybe finish that, but I saw this quote the other day from Choose Love, which is a great organization. They said, nobody wants to become a refugee, or they choose to become a refugee. But it's on us how to respond to that. This is something I can choose. I have the privilege to choose how I respond to crisis in the world, because I am so privileged. So I should choose it wisely, and I should choose it with empathy and with human sense, I would say, and with love, best way.